Hi, my name is Patrick Babineau. I'm your host for our show called Around Thurston County. Around Thurston County is an in-depth view of local issues that impact our lives. It's about the people, places, and things that make Thurston County a special and interesting place in which to live and work. Today's show is about public safety in Thurston County. According to the county's budget, a majority of Thurston County's funding goes toward public safety, the sheriff's office, and the criminal and civil court system. These are public services that we need and want, and in some cases are constitutionally required. They make our lives safer here in the county. What's the new face of public safety here in Thurston County? Today we are pleased to have our new county sheriff, John Snaza, with us to discuss the importance of public safety for county residents and to ask him what he sees for the future of public safety in Thurston County. John has an extensive law enforcement background. He's been involved in law enforcement for over 20 years. In that time, he's worked in almost every aspect of law enforcement. He has been a narcotics detective, a meth detection commander, SWAT team commander, been involved in aviation, been an incident commander, been involved in water rescue, a boating officer, a sheriff office recruiter, a bike patrolman, and a training instructor, among other positions that he's held. Welcome, John. Thanks for being on our show today.
Well, thank you for having me. I really do appreciate it.
Why don't we get into our first question? John, you were elected county sheriff last November, and you're now in your first year in office. What's your first 8 months in office in this job actually been like?
It's actually been very humbling to be able to follow in the footsteps of my mentors, both Sheriff Gary Edwards and Dan Kimball. I'm very humbled. Another thing is that I'm no longer John Snaza. I'm the sheriff. So it takes a while getting used to that word. It's been very unique and an awesome experience because I'm able to work with elected officials within the county government to be involved in affecting change. And not only with the elected officials in Thurston County, but also appointed officials and community leaders within Thurston County, working with all the cities, being able to work on how we can make Thurston County a great place to live and being involved in that. And having the opportunity to look at the sheriff's office from a different aspect and looking at it in, if you will, a more global aspect of seeing how hard our men and women, in not only in just law enforcement and in the corrections, but also the men and women who also work for the sheriff's office in a civilian capacity. And they're actually the unsung heroes of how our sheriff's office functions. It has been a tremendous experience to be able to be involved in that. And going to meetings. Even though most people don't like going to meetings, but knowing how important they are, because those meetings are what get us together and how we're going to figure out ways to work through the economy that we're dealing with today.
Right, right. Can you tell us a little bit about the sheriff's office and how it operates? What are some of your major public safety programs?
Well, the sheriff's office is in 4 divisions. You have the field operations, you have the support services division, you have the corrections division, and you have the financial services division. And each one of those divisions bring a unique perspective to forming the sheriff's office. With field operations, most people see it, the uniformed officers, the SWAT, the dive. Support services division, you're talking about the investigators. In the corrections, you're seeing not only people dealing with the corrections part, but also being involved in court security and our options programs, which we're really thought of as the leader in options programs right now, and the financial services. And I can tell you that lately our financial services, I've been really hitting them hard because with the way our budget crisis is, and they've been able to work with us so well in helping us with our budget. But if you're talking about some of the programs that we're our programs are public safety. What do I need to do as a sheriff to provide the best public service I can to the citizens of Thurston County? And is it providing the service and the safety to my deputies as well? Having a good response time, and being able to create programs that involve our citizens, like community outreach programs, volunteer programs, also working in the traffic safety. I can tell you that working in traffic safety and working with the director, chief, or I call him Chief Lowell Porter, but Director Lowell Porter of the Traffic Safety Commission, and working with Prosecutor John Thunheim on getting Target Zero and how we're going to impact the traffic safety on the roads, because we are ranked above the top 5 in traffic safety, traffic collisions and fatalities. And that's not a good place to be right now. And so we're going to work for that. And being able to provide programs for the citizens so that they can see what we're doing for them and they can have some involvement in that.
Great, great. You mentioned earlier volunteer programs. Could you elaborate a little bit about that?
Right now we have a reserves program, we have Explorer program, we have a volunteer program, but we have mounted patrol, and we have search and rescue along with Jeep patrol. And what we're trying to do is that we want to be able to use the resources that a lot of citizens out there have, and they actually want to serve. And what a great feeling to be able to use those resources where those people really want to serve the citizens that in the community that they live in. And I want to tap into those resources and use them as much as I can, because we need them. We need them both in good times and bad times when I'm speaking financially. Because volunteers bring so much more to the law enforcement community than I could ever thank them for.
So if there are people out there who might be interested in finding out if they could make a good volunteer for the Sheriff's Office, what would they do? How would they contact
I would want them to contact Thurston County Sheriff's Office through our office line, the 360-786-5500. And actually, Lieutenant John Price, who's been doing an outstanding job working with our volunteer program, and he holds a number of job titles, but he's also involved in that. And so he is the main contact person. And we're working with, what's really great is we're also working with the city of Lacey, Olympia, Tumwater, Tenino, and Yelm. So we're all working together, as well as the Nisqually Indian Tribe and the Chehalis Indian Tribe and their law enforcement agencies. So we're all working together for this.
Great. That leads me to this question. Your office, the police sheriff's office, does that cover the entire county outside of the incorporated cities?
The sheriff's office does. We are the lead law enforcement agency in the county. So we do cover all unincorporated Thurston County, but that is urban, rural, and suburban areas throughout the entire county. So we serve approximately 150,000 people with about 56 road deputies. Our deputies do an outstanding job in serving the citizens with the way times are today. We put a lot of pressure on them, and they've done very well.
And how many districts do you have in the county?
Well, Thurston County right now is divided up into 5 districts. And that has been something that it was done many, many years ago, and it was due to population density. And so one of the things that my command staff is looking at doing is changing it to where we better fit the needs of the citizens of Thurston County into more denser, because the Northeast has grown so much, and so has the Southwest region. They've grown greatly, and so we need to make sure we're allocating the proper resources to those regions.
Right. Great. And earlier you said that the county, the sheriff's office in Thurston County, which covers a population of around 150,000 people, has 56 officers in the service area, which includes everything outside of the city limits. Mm-hmm. So you have a big service area. So what you were talking about earlier in terms of consolidating, looking at population density, and working to better serve people, it sounds as if a big part of what you're doing is using your existing services to serve people better.
Well, what I've done is that reorganizing the sheriff's office, and what I mean by that is that I made a commitment to put more deputies on the road.
Right.
Well, even though I'm in the process of hiring deputies right now, which I'll be able to hire 2 here shortly, right now, what I had to do is that I was able to meet with the deputies, and we were able to work on a better schedule for the deputies, and a better schedule that I felt met the needs of the citizens of Thurston County. Mm-hmm. And by doing that, I took deputies from detectives, and I made detectives rotational now. So I've made every position within the sheriff's office rotational so that we have more deputies on the road. And that's just what I felt I needed to do to get more deputies out there. Right. So that we've restructured how we do investigations to put more deputies on the road. So taking deputies out of investigations, putting them on road, from services on the road. And we had an individual who was training, who was an instructor up at the Criminal Justice Training Command. And because of what's going on up there, he wasn't being utilized to his capacity. And he felt that he would better fit the needs of the citizens here in Thurston County, and he came back. So it enabled me to put more deputies on the road. So hiring more will help me out. And being able to work with the resources that I have, because as we all know, our resources are very limited.
Right, right. So you're effectively, with the limited resources that we all have to live with and your office has to contend with, you are effectively increasing the number of deputies.
Yes,
right.
Yes. We're averaging more deputies on the road, and we're actually, it's to where now we have, 2 days a month, we have over 30-some deputies on the road, 2 days a month. Mm-hmm. So that's when we're able to make a bigger impact. Right. If we're going to serve warrants, or if we're going to be able to be involved in sex offender registration programs, those sort of programs, so we are able to make effect there. And then we're obviously impacting the corrections part, because if we go out and serve warrants, we're bringing people in. So we're able to act on a lot of information, and our supervisors are doing a great job getting that information and put them in packets to where on those days we can actually make a point of being out there.
Great. And what do you see as the major focus for the sheriff's office now, and what do you see it being in the near future?
Right now it's public safety. We're not doing well for traffic collisions in Thurston County, and we need to make a point that we need to slow drivers down out there. Thurston County is way more populated than it was 20 years ago. Road conditions aren't any better. They're worse, and we need to slow some of those drivers down. And so we need to be out there. Some of the programs that we are doing is we're working with Traffic Safety Commission, like I mentioned before, and John Thunheim being able to put together Target Zero. We're working on programs for investigations of identity theft and fraud investigations. We're working on sex offender programs. We're working on more programs, like I talked about earlier, about getting more people involved in the community. Because, again, with the resources or lack of resources that we have, not just Thurston County Sheriff's Office, all agencies are feeling that pinch. And so we need to combine our resources, and that's why working on a new records management system with all the other agencies in this county, so we have one management system that benefits everybody. Working with all the chiefs from the local law enforcement agencies